let's get into this content. So you have another young girl saying something very ignorant. I hate this whole new age narrative that like men are inherently like attracted to little girls because of particular standards that people place on women or society places on women that frankly come from women just as much as men. It's like I call it toxic femininity. It's silly, and I want to go through it because it's just like ridiculous. Like all problems in society are solely put onto men, despite the fact that women have lived in this society and they've contributed. I understand there's a power dynamic that favors men, but women chose to live in this society, like more traditional aspects where men did all the things and then women took care of all the things, right? And women were comfortable with that, and men were comfortable with that. And then as time moved on, we shifted away from that. But like, it's not like women never contributed. Like women were generally comfortable with it, other than like outliers who wanted to break the mold. And like my mother is an outlier who wanted to break the mold. And now it's becoming more routine. Though funny enough, you see a lot of like funny memes that women are like, I wish it was back to the old days. The problem is with that power dynamic, of course, women can get shit on very easily. But I digress. Let's get into this. So really, the video or the sound is entirely irrelevant. So we don't even need to play. It's just this. So it says, I'm convinced men are attracted to little girls. We gotta stop. You know why it's like so annoying when people do this? Because like I've established this before, men specifically who are sexual predators towards young girls are treated. Well, first of all, they're treated much worse than women who are predators towards young men. Because for whatever reason, for a young man to sleep with an older woman, even if they're below age, it's seen as a conquest from that man. And we look at that girl as like, oh, she's a little off, she's weird. But an older man sleeping with a young girl, we see it as like absolutely disgusting and deranged power dynamic. And like he's a pure predator, which he is, but so is the girl. My point is to bring them to the same standard of predatory behavior rather than to, champion the young boy for getting raped. But anyway, so no hair in armpit. This is the cooter. This is the cat. Arms, legs. So first and foremost, let's establish what hair is. Hair is just seen as a masculine trait. It has nothing. So she's trying to say that like, oh, well, young girls are prepubescent. Like young prepubescent girls don't have hair. Prepubescent kids have no hair in general. So men must like prepubescent kids if they like hairless women. No, hair is seen as a masculine trait, and women don't want to seem masculine to attract a mate. And so men are generally attracted towards women who aren't hairy. Now, I would say that the vagina part specifically is like kind of irrelevant. I feel like that's like personal preference. You're not really seen as less of a woman or gross if you have vagina hair. At least I don't think so. And men are held to the same standard of pubic hair. So that's what I'd say with there. Moving on, innocent as F. So innocence, we can only relate this to the idea of body count, because men want a girl who like, oh, I want a virgin, or a girl with a low body count. So like, yeah, that's toxic masculinity, I guess. But like, I mean, I get that, but I wouldn't really call that some form of like men trying to go after women who are like young girls. It's more that men are trying to go after women who they feel like haven't been defiled. And so like that comes from this toxically masculine idea of like domination, like dominating or owning something, like ownership of a thing. It's like a very, inherent male quality, which I don't agree with, like, honestly. Of like, oh, I want to conquer this particular thing that hasn't been conquered before, and I want it to be mine and only mine. And society doesn't have that standard on men. Right? Where it's like, it's okay for a man to sleep with a bunch of girls. It's not okay for girls to sleep with a bunch of men. But the reality is that we need to find a balance. Women and men don't need to be innocent, but they also don't need to be like whores, right? Men and women, there's nothing wrong with having like a reasonable body count. I'd say reasonable is like 5 to 10. Of like, getting out there, experiencing yourself, growing sexually. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, and she's not making this, but then there's this also toxically feminine idea that like women should be able to have high body counts, and anybody should be able to have it. But both men and women should be shamed for having high body counts. Like the reality is that like it's a toxically masculine idea that men should be praised for high body counts. And so like toxic femininity says that women should also be praised for that high body count, rather than saying that men should just not be praised for it and treated like you should all be treated like you're gross. right? Because there's a higher chance of like STDs, and it's just kind of gross. And there's probably some kind of an emotional issue there as well, where you feel the need to like sleep around for some form of validation. For context, my body count's above 10, so I'm gross, and you guys should treat me as such. Moving on, periods are nasty. So I guess she's saying that because we find periods to be gross, that means that we must want children that don't have periods. The problem is like, that's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, dude, first and foremost, periods are gross. Most women are like, yeah, periods are gross. Like, periods are, dude, it's blood coming out of your vagina. Like, would you want to lick my pee-pee if I had blood flying out of my pee hole? No, it's gross. Blood is gross. Blood is gross, and if you lick it, you could get sick. Very simple. It's gross, and it stinks. It smells kind of bad. It smells like nickels, okay, or pennies. So it's just being honest with you. It's gross. Women think it's gross. Men think it's gross. Like, just get over it. Like, your period is a little gross. Like, you shouldn't be shamed for it, but it's gross. Like, I'm not trying to be, you know, it's gross. No taller than 5'2". I don't even know if that's substantiated. Like, I like short women. Most men like women shorter than them, but that's about it. Like, there's no like number standard there. This is completely unsubstantiated. Nothing heavier than 120 pounds. Again, unsubstantiated. Which is weird. I don't like how. Okay, so 12-year-old girls weigh between 70 and 130 pounds, or 68 and 135 pounds. So about 92 pounds. So like, how old are you when you weigh 120 pounds as a girl? About 15 or 16. So like, you didn't even do your research in this poor narrative. The reality though is I didn't even have to overthink that. Bigger women are in favor. Like, thick girls are in favor. All right, there's really no man looking for a 120-pound woman. Just stop that. You're out of your fucking mind, and you're lying. Makeup is more attractive. This one really gets me. No, or they're saying no makeup is more attractive. That's why it gets me. Because, like, get out of here, you weirdo. Because you see women push this same bullshit, like, pedophilic argument when they talk about, like, oh, you know, men like only like makeup on women, because there's a movement from women to say, hey, we don't want makeup. Ironically, men don't give a fuck really about makeup. It's other women who are very toxic about women not wearing makeup. You'd be surprised how toxic other women are towards other women, or women are towards other women when it comes to their looks as opposed to men. But like, the narrative is like, I would say that wearing makeup, you would wear makeup to like contour yourself to look younger, no? So no makeup, a more natural look, seems less pedophilic by association. So this girl can't even get her story straight. No smoking and drinking. That one is crazy to me, because like, she's associating the legal age to smoke and drink with this whole situation. So she's saying like, oh, you don't want me to smoke or drink, so you must want a girl that's under the age to smoke and drink. What? Bro, smoking specifically is gross. And like, drinking can be a little gross, like chronic drinking. So it's like, this is just people not wanting gross people who are effectively killing themselves. All right? If you're smoking, we're going to assume cigarettes, you're killing yourself slowly. Same thing with alcohol if you're drinking too much. Next one is shouldn't be around anyone besides their gender. What? That's something shared by women. You see TikTok stories all the time that's like, oh, I don't want my man out with another girl. That's just like basic human nature of wanting to like own their partner. Who cares? That's fine. That's a standard shared by both, but to be honest with you. So like, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. What are you going to catch cooties? No, like, generally speaking, it's very difficult to form a relationship with somebody of the opposite gender without there being some kind of sexual attraction between the two of them. Because like, you know, relationships are part comfortability. So when you get comfortable with somebody of the opposite gender, it does start to breed some kind of romantic feelings for each other. So like, I just wanted to talk about this. It got 250,000 it's annoying how like stupid you can be and how much you can lie on TikTok about dumb social issues, and like, you can promote this idea of like men are inherently pedophilic with no disregard. Do you know how dangerous it is to label a man a pedophile? You can get them killed or beat the shit out of or socially destroyed. And like, I hate the narratives that are like associate all men with pedophilia. It just really pisses me off. I want to say thank you so much, guys, to all my Patreons, and a special shout out to my Papa XL Patreons. Without all you guys, I would just be some fat dude screaming into a microphone. So thank you so much, guys. Mwah. I love you all.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.